Second, number two, it was the acceptable ranges of the parameters of the seal were the following: 150 to 170 Celsius, 60 to 70 psi, and time of 2 to 2.5. You have a data file named suture.txt that had batch information, and you pretty much have to write yet the program that shows which batch were acceptable over thanks to the information here and which one wasn't. So this was the file. So yeah, this right here. So this column, right, the one that goes up and down. This is the batch. This over here is the temperature. This over here is the PSI, and this is time. And then you're gonna have to have. I'll get into this in a second. I'll just go over the code real quick. So you're just gonna have include std.io.h and stdlib.h since you're dealing with strings and such. So you're gonna have to input a file and read it. That's why you have this. So that's where this comes in. It's just gonna read the file. So if it doesn't read, it's just gonna be an error. And then you're gonna have a while loop to scan everything. So fscanf the input file, right? And then %d is for the batch, %f is for the temperature, another %f for the PSI, and another %f for the time, because they're all in decimals. Well, this should be in decimals. I was just too lazy to like add a decimal points, but you get what I mean. And then since we have and batch and temp and PSI and time, you have to have it, make sure you have an int for that. So and batch, and then float for the temperature, PSI, and time, and make sure that you have the does not equal end of file, so it can just keep on going to the next one. So then after the while loop, yeah, after reading one new row, we must check each parameter if it's within or outside the range we wanted. So if the previous batch is not equal to the batch, which equals to the current batch, you're going to have if count within is greater than the max within is equal to the count within, and the max batch in is equal to the previous batch. So pretty much in other words, just give me a sec to find out how to explain it correctly. So, all right, so this is pretty much for if you want to move on to the next batch, so like from this one to this one, then we have to pretty much find out like what's changing. So the count within is greater than the max within. So that's pretty much the count in this batch. It's gonna be greater than the count, the max count, and yeah. And then over here, you're gonna have another if. If the batch has the most incorrect values, then you have to store that. So if the count is greater than the count outside the batch is greater than the max outside the batch, then the max out is going to be equal to the count out. Max batch out is equal to the previous batch, and it's going to give the batch numbers. And then when the count within is equal to 0 and the count out is equal to 0, then the previous batch is going to be equal to the current batch. And in this part right here, that's where these came over. So you're going to have to define like the ranges for each, for the temperature, the pressure, and the time. So that's why I did left temp and right temp, 150, 170, left PSI, right PSI, left time, right time. So that's where this comes. So it's pretty much if the temperature was less than or equal to the left temp, and the temp was less than, let me restate that. If the temp is greater than or equal to the left and less than or equal to the right, that means it'll be counted as within those values and it'll be correct. If it isn't in that range, then it's going to be counted outside and it's going to be counted for the incorrect ones. And same thing with the pressure. If it's in that given range, then it's going to be counted as correctly within that range, and the batch is all good. If it isn't, it's going to be counted outside of the batch, and it will be incorrect. Same thing with time. And after over here, you're going to have a printf statement. So the backs with the max number of correct values, it's going to be %d max batch in and max split in. So pretty much, but I failed to like mention over here because I was having a tough time to explain. So this part right here is going to give if the correct values. So like if the batch was in that specific range mentioned before, then it's going to make sure to count and store it so you can have it for here. That's what the max batch in and max within was for. And if it was outside of the correct threshold, then that's where the count out and max out was used. So yeah, and yeah, I know it's sort of all over the place. So do you want me to explain it again or no?
I think
I'll
that's
click it.
fine.
Yeah.
Are you sure? I can try and do it again if you want.
No, I've got like the same thing.
All right. So who's next?
Oh, I am.
All right. Let me let you share screen. All right.
Sorry, I went to click on it, but I clicked on no. So can you do it again?
Yeah.